All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Doing things a little different today, trying out a different platform for recording my pod, doing some different things as we start the new year. This is the first pod of 2023. And for those who have never been here, allow me to introduce the pod and myself. This is the Sexual Intellectual Podcast. I'm your host, JD, aka He Who Pods. First podcast of 2023. Thank you for being here, whether this is your first time here or you've been here from the beginning. You are appreciated. And we're going to talk about some of the things we left off on last time and some new things as well. So let's start there. Or rather, let's get it started. The omnibus bill, as they're calling it, the bill that kept the workers, that keeps the government open, omnibus bill of 2022, government spending bill, etc. It did some interesting things this time around, and so we're going to talk about what that did. Like I said last pod, every time they pass one of these bills, we see more and more things that are just layered in these bills. And so we spoke about some of the things last time. Today, I want to focus on one of those things. And maybe we'll go back because there's a lot of things that are in this bill that I find interesting. So, I'm going to read a little bit of this article. This is by Bloomberg Law. Try to give y'all some different sources when we do things. Switch it up a bit, you know what I'm saying? So here we go. Bloomberg. Employers will soon be required to grant reasonable accommodations for pregnant workers similar to those that are already required for disabled employees under a newly enacted law that drew support from both workers' advocates and business groups. Okay, so Congress passed the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act as an amendment added to the $1.7 trillion trillion dollar government spending government funding bill that cleared both chambers. This says last week when the article was written. We know President Biden signed it. The law will take effect in June. So that's new information I didn't have before. All right, so what does this law do? It would require employers with 15 or more workers to provide such arrangements for job applications and employees with conditions related to pregnancy or childbirth. Okay. It also prohibits employers from discriminating against a job candidate or employee because of their need for a pregnancy-related accommodation. Reasonable accommodations could include assigning light duty that doesn't involve heavy lifting or allowing for frequent bathroom breaks. Wow, I couldn't say that this morning. Frequent bathroom breaks. Frequent bathroom breaks. There it is, folks. It says it mirrors protections for disabled workers under the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990, but for pregnant workers and on a temporary basis. It adopts the same definition of a quote-unquote reasonable accommodation as the ADA, an arrangement that doesn't impact the essential functions or of the job. Employers currently only must comply with the Federal Pregnancy Discrimination Act, which protects workers from bias based on pregnancy or related conditions. This prohibits employers from making adverse employment decisions because of pregnancy, similar to safeguards for other protected groups under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1954. The Pregnancy Discrimination Act, however, doesn't guarantee accommodations for pregnant workers. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why I keep looking at the microphone. Maybe because I'm not used to it being right in front of me. I'm loud, so usually the mic is way in the back and people can't see it. But like I said, new year, we're trying some new things out. So, yeah, I thought that it was interesting that this was part of what was passed in the bill. And I thought that we should probably speak about it a bit and speak about the things that are in that part of the bill. Because remember, I said last podcast, the omnibus bill, it is a very layered bill with lots of different things included. And at the time, I didn't really know much about that piece, this piece of the bill. So, listen, I am all for um, helping women. I'm all for supporting women. And yeah, if the woman is pregnant, there should be some reasonable accommodations. I'm not against that. I can see where some men would argue that this is unfair, but those men aren't going to be pregnant. So they be all right. Um, I think that it's okay to make exceptions for these types of situations. I think it's interesting that they are mirroring the Disability Act, but I can see why. I can see why if the verbiage is already there. I guess a little copy and paste isn't bad, especially because a lot of times when it comes to legalities, they want to use certain verbiage, and if the verbiage already exists elsewhere, it I can see why they would borrow some of those things or adopt them, not adopt, yeah, adopt them with this bill. So I dig it. I mean, it's not the most creative thing, but I mean, politicians are not the most creative anyway. So, not a big surprise there. Um, I don't really have too much else to say. I think it's interesting that this is happening with the bill. A lot of the things that are happening with that bill, um, I think it's interesting that they happen there. But I'm always interested when that happens. I just didn't have a podcast of my own when that happened in the past. So now that it's here, I figure, if I'm interested, maybe some of you are interested as well, and we can discuss it and, break down some of the things that we find interesting. I am going to get back to the healthcare stuff because that will be affecting plenty of American citizens. But honestly, I did not have enough time to truly dive into it. I didn't. I also wasn't able to find things from credible sources that I trust. So I didn't want to just read from anybody who put out information or an article about it. So I'll get back to that at some point, but I'm not ready at this moment. So we will continue to speak about these things. And I'm curious to see how, like, I didn't know that God damn, everybody's honking horns. Sorry, y'all. What was I going to say? Oh, I didn't know that the law went into place in June, that it began in June. I didn't know that. So that's pretty interesting. Oh, speaking of laws going into place, a few days ago there was a bill that went into place in Tennessee that I spoke about a few months back when it was signed. So just an update, it is official now in Tennessee. If you kill a parent because of a DUI, you will now have to pay child support to the kids of the parent you killed while driving under the influence. So that has taken place. And man, the internet was having a field day with that shit. There were all type of Nick Cannon memes. If you hit Nick Cannon, your life is over. All type of stuff. The internet was going off. Woo! Fun stuff if you're bored and you want to look it up. There are plenty of things there for you to see, enjoy, and laugh at. It's all in jest. All right, let's move on to our next topic. So, y'all probably heard about this already, but they the labels on Plan B pills have been changed. The labels on Plan B pills have been changed. Why? They want to make it clear that they are not an abortion pill, they are a contraceptive. They want to make it clear that it is not an abortion pill, it is a contraceptive. I guess because of all the stuff going on with politics and the Supreme Court and Roe v. Wade, they want to do things a little differently and protect themselves? Question mark. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why people thought that the Plan B pills were abortion pills. It's pretty clearly labeled, in my opinion, what it is that it does, what the time frame is that you need to take it, and why it works. But even if the labels on the box and the information and instructions didn't do that, have people never Googled or searched on any search engine what Plan B pills do? Because I am confused. Was it really that? Let me rephrase. Are there really that many people who don't understand what a Plan B pill does? I don't know. But to me, this is just interesting. Not much to report, not much to say. I think it's sad that they had to do it. That's my thing. This is an opinion piece, really. This is not about factual information at this point. Yeah, it was changed. That's the facts. I'm just telling you what I think at that point, and really can't even really understand, because why would we need that to be so distinctive, so specific? People. I mean, listen, if that's what has to happen for them to not be able to scrap Plan B pills and make them unavailable, then I'm cool with it. But if this is simply because people are too stupid to figure shit out, that is sad. And I think that definitely speaks to where we are at as a populace right now. That is it for this one. All right, folks, I got another one for you. This is an article from Yahoo News. This is actually old at this point. This article came out on November 21st of 2022, but I totally forgot about it in the pods that we've done since that time. And so I wanted to make sure that we spoke about it because it is important to me, to us. So let's talk about it. And it reads, the clitoris has 10,000 nerve endings. Here's why experts say the discovery is just the beginning for sexual health. It says there have long been questions on the validity of the claim of 8,000 nerve endings in the clitoris. Pause the story. For those who don't know, it has been said, stated, and quoted from books for years. In fact, the number is here. It was stated as a fact in the 1976 book, The Clitoris. And since then, we've all been saying that the clitoris has 8,000 nerve endings. And so back to the article. There have long been questions on the validity of the claim of 8,000 nerve endings in the clitoris. Activist Jessica Pinn, who lost sensation in her clitoris after a labiaplasty? Never seen that before. I'll put it on the screen. And has been outspoken since about the lack of knowledge of female genitalia in medicine, penned a Medium article in 2018 suggesting that the bovine study should not be used as a source for human beings. Yet in order to really analyze just how many nerve endings there are in the human clitoris, one had to, well, actually count them. Dr. Maria Oloko, one of the study's authors and an assistant professor of urology at UC San Diego, and a urologist who specializes in the treatment of female sexual dysfunction, says that the inspiration for the study came from frustrations she was feeling with the lack of knowledge about the clitoris. Quote, if we look at the difference between what we know about the penis and what we know about the vulva, it is a stark, very concerning difference, she shares. Quote, I treat a lot of vulvar pain. And if you look at that demographic of patients, it usually takes 4 to 5 providers before they even get a diagnosis. When you look at the healthcare cost of those patients, it's in the billions of dollars. For very common treatable conditions, why is there such a barrier to care? Question mark. So that was the question. I'm a researcher and I'm an advocate, and I'm just also pissed because I keep seeing the same thing. All right, folks, we're going to fast forward. And so the study states that basically, I don't need specs for this. The study states that basically, this came from a lot of questions being had and them wanting to find things out. And this was able to be done through trans healthcare. I want to quote it correctly. Hold on, because I don't want any smoke. Yeah. Okay, that's what they call it, trans healthcare, because I didn't want to say the wrong thing and have problems. It says trans healthcare, Peter stresses, is an integral part of how this study was able to be conducted, calling their work on gender affirming surgeries, quote, helping someone physically actualize their internal sense of self. So basically, this is how they were able to literally count the nerve endings in the clitoris. And we now find out that there are 10,000 nerve endings. And the hope is that this study leads to more studies and more information, because most of sexual health that we know is focused on the male anatomy, not the female anatomy. So I thought that was super interesting. And I just got to say one thing: 10,000 nerve endings is way higher than we thought, way higher than the tip of the penis. Fellas, ladies, non binary folks, everybody, get on those nerves. Yes, get on her nerves. The nerve endings, that is. But get on her nerves. Yes, I do not mean frustrate her, annoy her. I mean, man, give that organ some attention. You're doing yourself a disservice if you do not. It is so powerful, so sensitive, so strong, and does so much for her pleasure systems, zones, etc. Stimulate the organ. Get on her nerves. Another thing that we found out at the end of the year is something that you probably already knew if you were paying attention. Stocks have had the worst 4 consecutive quarters, meaning 1 year, since, you can probably guess when, since the crash quite a few years ago. Yes. So that shows us that 2022 was very hard for many people financially, and many people believe that there will be an equally challenging 2023. And people keep throwing around the word recession. Stocks falling consecutively or having 4 bad quarters consecutively is usually a big sign of a recession. It usually means that companies are not doing well, the economy is not doing well, the dollar is not circulating well. This, partnered along with inflation, shopping habits, all the good stuff that the Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg and the rest of the financial, not institutions, but I guess financial journalist, I guess is the way to say it. I don't know the term. Do you know the term? If you do, tell me. Please put in the comments. Look out for a brother, man. So, yeah, these other financial reporters, journalists, they have said all of the same things about the stocks and the economy and these different things. The only thing that appears to be uncertain is whether there is a recession or not, whether one is coming or not. I'm no genius. I'm not a Wall Street Journal staff member. I don't work from Bloomberg. I don't have an economics degree. But it's pretty clear that shit is fucked up out here. Recession or not, things are happening. There are real, legit, not markers. What's the word I'm looking for? There are legit factors, indicators. I'll go with indicators. There are legit indicators of certain things. There's things that are coming up that show us exactly what is happening. Spending trends, stocks falling, inflation, because they are all intertwined. So if you don't think there's a recession happening, cool. But if you don't think that, I hope you are starting to prepare for the one that is definitely coming. I don't care if they use the term or not. I think if you look at the climate, you see enough of what's going on. I don't mean the warm weather in the winter. I'm referring to the financial climate. All the things I just mentioned are clear indicators of what is happening and what is coming. Pay attention, folks, because shit is real out here. And yeah, if you're paying attention to stocks and you're seeing all of these things that have been reported, yeah, you know it's been happening. But 4 quarters in a row of a decline indicate some specific things. It says some specific things. It's a sign. Like sign guy. It's a sign of things that are happening and things to come. So be careful how you're spending your money. Um, you know, a lot of America is living check to check. It's hard out here for all of us who are in that predicament, and that is most of America. So if you are one of our listeners, if you are listening check to check. Are you listening check to check? Unbelievable. If you're living check to check, these are things to consider. These are things to pay attention to, because the value of our dollar is going down, meaning you can buy less things, less goods with your dollar. What you used to be able to buy with a $1 bill is long gone. I mean, people talk about oxtails a lot. That price has jumped to the fucking moon. So, you have to be very careful with how you're spending right now. It is not going to get better right away. And so these are things to keep in mind and keep an eye on. Sorry to get serious, but it's kind of my responsibility to speak about it. We got time for one more? Let me see. Larry Squid. Okay, listen. I just want to say this real quick, and I'm going to come back to this topic soon. But do yourself a favor. Grab a bowl of your favorite popcorn. Bust out the laptop or your desktop. Sit at your desktop. You might not bust out your desktop. Man, get on your devices and search up U.S. Virgin Islands sues J.P. Morgan Chase. Almost forgot the Chase. Sues J.P. Morgan Chase. And look at all the interesting things that are going on there. I'm not even done with the rabbit hole that I've been going down, but it is an interesting one, to say the least. They are suing because of the things that went on with Epstein Island, as it's called. And there's they are accusing, or they have accused, JP Morgan Chase of aiding in certain ways that guy in certain ways. And since those accusations have come out, some very interesting things have happened. And just search it up. Do a little bit of the, you know what I'm saying? I don't even know if that came through on the mic, but do a little bit of the, you know what I'm saying? Little searchy search. You know what I mean? Because I don't know for certain, but I think it's going to end up being politics as usual. And I leave that right there for y'all. That's our show. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back very soon. Thanks again. And peace out.